Our guest is hasty and undoubtedly very highly ambitious. He came to power in March 2009, benefiting from a turmoil in the country, and is now president of the High Transitional Authority of Madagascar. In other words, in the country's political muddy waters, he has control over the executive power. Hello, this is France 24, and this is the interview. André Rajoelina was Nicolas Sarkozy's guest yesterday in an attempt to strengthen his legitimacy, because not only was he considered by some as a coup leader, but as a fickle figure reluctant to validate his position through votes. Today, André Rajoelina promising transparent votes by the 30th of November 2012. We are now going to talk about the economic and social conditions in Madagascar. Thank you for being with us, Mr. President of the High Transitional Authority in Madagascar. The first question I really wanted to ask you is, why did you wait so long before you made that announcement for legislative and presidential elections?
Our objective has always been to organize elections, but we weren't able to find agreement between Malagasy politicians. We now have a roadmap which has been validated by the international community, the United Nations, the African Union, and the Southern African Development Community, which drew up the roadmap.
The Southern African Community.
Exactly. And now, following the validation and signing of this roadmap, we have been able to put in place a new consensus prime minister, form a new government, and establish the transition institutions, the Transition Congress, which will exercise the powers of the National Assembly, or of the members of parliament, and the Transition Congress, or the High Transition Council, which will exercise the powers of the senators as the Senate of Madagascar. And from then onwards, we are now ready freely to move towards the organization of free and transparent elections.
When studying history in Madagascar, we often ask ourselves the following question: the political process, why does it always, or almost always, have to go through painful processes? We're not going to make any psychological studies, but why this constant?
Well, today the people want power. The people want to express their views and opinions, and if we hadn't had the results of the elections did not reflect the will of the people and the truth of the ballot box. So today the conditions exist, for example, for organizing free and transparent elections, the use of a single ballot vote, single ballot, and the organization of elections by an independent National Electoral Commission, which had not been the case for years. In the past, the elections were organized by the state, and for this reason, we had no means for politicians to come to power through the ballot box. And now the conditions will be put in place so that we can have total confidence of the Malagasy people and politicians in the future. And we hope now that the roadmap is clear and that we will no longer have any popular uprisings in Madagascar, because the politicians will now have an opportunity to come to power through elections.
You're talking about uprisings, but those uprisings often stem from poverty, and there is destitution in Madagascar. What is the source of that poverty? Excessive debt? Or is it stemming from somewhat of a family structure that overcherishes citizens rather than developing entrepreneurship? What is your leverage system so as to really create an impetus within the Madagascar's economic system?
The leaders of the country must not disappoint the people. That is to say, we must rise to the social challenge. The leaders must be closer to the people, and and they must be able to solve the problems facing the population in general. That is to say, to keep the cost of living affordable, to create more jobs, and above all, to share the national wealth. That is to say, the objective for us, the challenge we have to rise to today, is to create our own wealth through our own wealth. That is to say...
Did you mean that it used to be dominated by an elite, a clique? Is that what you're saying today?
Well, listen, Madagascar has been given by God the gift of immense natural resources. And these natural resources should enable us to have our independence in economic terms, and to develop our country. So now we must set clear rules, and we must listen to the Malagasy people and support the Malagasy people, create jobs, and make sure that the national wealth is shared, is distributed fairly to all the population.
So the power should be responsible for that. Now, when it comes to your relations with France, how do you explain those honors and favors given by France to Madagascar? Now, we remember all of it in 2009. French President Sarkozy had taken your presidency with a grain of salt, so to say. How do you explain the fact that today this relationship is actually heading in the right direction and is actually quite up and running?
France has always been highly aware of Madagascar's development and the future of the Malagasy people. The President of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, is a Democrat. Now, once the roadmap has been validated and approved by all the politicians and all the stakeholders of Malagasy political parties and approved by the international community, this has made more credible the fact that I am the president of the High Authority of Transition, and this has enabled us to organize elections as soon as possible. And it is for this reason that France has always supported us. Once our power has been approved and understood by the international community, for this reason, President Nicolas Sarkozy welcomed me officially as the head of state at the head of our country, Madagascar.
In May 2011, if I remember correctly, you had said that you would not run for the presidential elections. And Amdo Diouf, the head of the International Francophonia Organization, had actually supported such a statement. Now, what are you saying today? You're saying, are you running for candidacy?
Well, listen, in the roadmap, nothing in the roadmap prevents me from being a candidate or not. But the important thing in life is to do something for your country. The most important thing in life as leaders is to be successful, is to successfully accomplish our mission. And that simply doesn't mean being on an assignment. Today, we have to influence and rise to the challenge facing this country, which is in great difficulties today. But so long as I am alive, so I am always ready to serve my country as president or as an ordinary citizen.
How would you label your political relationships between your supporters and the supporters to your predecessor, Marc Ravalomanana?
It's only through the ballot box that the answer can be made and confirmed.
In other words, is there somewhat of a political muddy water in Madagascar insofar as people's intentions and their individual positionings?
No, I don't think so. The Malagasy people need today renewal. The Malagasy people are looking for somebody who embodies real change. The Malagasy people want somebody who thinks like they do, who talks like they do, and who can bring solutions to the people's problems, because the people are feeling a sense of despair, and I personally want to help to give hope to each household, household and each individual in Madagascar.
This is my last question. Your personal credits and experience, now you first started working what we call PR, communication. Now, is that something that could be considered as a springboard for legitimacy, for like a future model that could be displayed to citizens in Madagascar? In other words, personal initiatives.
Well, today, the Malagasy people want a leader who is patriotic, who has a sense of national pride, and the Malagasy people need somebody who is young. 70% of the population of Madagascar is under 30. Therefore, this is very significant. Having said that, the Malagasy people, above all, need somebody who is close to the population and who can solve their problems, their day-to-day problems.
Thank you, Mr. President, head of the High Transitional Authority of Madagascar. Thank you for being with us today at France 24. Their television viewers, stay with us for further news. You should not pass up on France 24. Thank you very much.